which was something at the time because, I had to fight. I was going up against guys with up to 200 fights over 200, 100 plus fights with much international experience. So, yeah, that was a big one, knowing that, I beat everybody in Canada and, yeah, taking the middleweight title,
Um,
brought it to Ontario.
when you get to say, I beat everyone in Canada.
Fourth knockout of his 9 victories.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is STEPHAN BOYD.
Welcome to CooLife Podcast, brought to you by TheRealThingDating.com. www.TheRealThingDating.com.
Polydor Records for out scouting. This girl grabbed my bangs and ran my head right into the speaker.
Oh.
And everyone cheered like this. Yeah.
When we shot the scene in Good Will Hunting, I didn't know who most of these people were at the time. I mean, they weren't stars. It was Gus Van Sant that directed it. Gus Van Sant was on the floor with Matt Damon's character. I didn't even know who Matt Damon was at that time.
I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to CooLife. Here we go.
And welcome to CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, and today we are blessed with a visit from STEPHAN BOYD, Canadian middleweight boxing champion. 1 draw, 11 wins, 3 losses. Those are impressive numbers, but they do not appropriately describe the depth, the focus, the determination of this athlete, who is also the owner of RINGFIT Boxing in Toronto. STEPHAN, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's very nice to be here with you.
I'm so pleased to see that you've taken your career to a point where you're also sharing your talent with other people through RINGFIT Boxing. I'm wondering, can you tell me, what is the website for RINGFIT?
Our website is www.ringfitboxing.com.
Thank you so much. And STEPHAN, how long has your boxing gym, RINGFIT Boxing, been at the St. Clair and Yonge location?
So it's a relatively new venture. I'm saying that we're about 9 months old. We've been at this location for about 9 months now.
Well, it's wonderful. I've had a chance to visit, and it really is a terrific location. You have great staff. I've met some of your staff. Are they also competitive boxers?
Yeah, I mean the majority of our staff has had some amateur boxing experience, some competitive boxing experience. I'm gonna say I think maybe 4 out of the 5 of us have actually competed.
Wow, that's impressive. So they really are bringing that experience to the training at RINGFIT.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I want to bring people that know the sport, people that have participated in the sport and can teach from a standpoint of having done, which a lot of people can hold pads and give instructions, but it takes something different to see the little nuances, to have actually apply the techniques that we're learning and see how they're actually used in combat situation.
Right. Well, you have seen it all. You've worked in boxing, amateur, professional, and you have had quite a bit of success. Can you tell me, STEPHAN, what was it like for you to experience winning your first boxing title?
What was it like? It was a great experience. It was a great experience. It was where did I win it? I had about 23, 24 amateur fights. I had only been involved in boxing for about 2.5 years, but
Wow.
I was fortunate enough to be trained by some really great trainers. A gentleman I found that had trained like world champion Chip, had trained a world champion Alexis Arguello, brought him to his first world title fight he's from Nicaragua. He himself had almost 100 professional fights and turned pro at 15 years old. And the first time I saw this man move, my jaw dropped, and I was like, "Wow, I've never seen anything so beautiful." And I just knew I had to learn from him. So luckily, even though I started late, I have really great trainers, and I won my Canadian amateur title with about 23 or 24 amateur fights, which was something at the time because, I had to fight. I was going up against guys with up to 200 fights, over 200, 100 plus fights with much international experience. So yeah, that was a big one, knowing that, I beat everybody in Canada and yeah, taking the middleweight title,
Wow.
brought it to Ontario.
Quite a set of words when you get to say, I beat everyone in Canada.
Well,
Amazing.
yeah.
And definitely worth it. And like I said, I'm very impressed that you're bringing this wealth of experience and knowledge of the sport of boxing to your boxing gym. We're taking a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. And remember to send us your comments to info@CooLifeWorld.com. That's info@COOLIFEworld.com. And we'll read your comments on a future show. Right now, we're taking a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more boxing talk with STEPHAN BOYD on Cool Life Podcast. Car reviews, safety tips, electric vehicle updates. The Driver Magazine online. www.thedriver.ca. The world's view of driving today. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is Cool Life Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to Cool Life on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be right back. And we're back on Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing my conversation with STEPHAN BOYD, Canadian middleweight champion and owner of RINGFIT Boxing. And it's something where I know a lot of people have been excited about getting back into fitness. I mean, during the pandemic and lockdowns, people really could not hit the gym and do what they usually would do for their fitness. Do you feel that our general fitness across the board has deteriorated because of the pandemic?
I mean, during the pandemic, for sure, a lot of people put on extra weight. I mean, that was kind of the norm. People coming back to fitness after the break, most people put on about, anyway, a relatively large amount of weight per portion, like people were definitely had the COVID bodies going on.
Right, right.
And people took it to the extreme where they had that free time and they actually used it and worked out and made some good changes. And few people came back, looking good and ready to work. But it was tough, being isolated, not having the gyms definitely had its toll on us for sure.
Of course. Well, for what you've seen with the comeback to fitness and people signing up and joining and becoming new members at RingFit, can you describe what is your high intensity training class like?
Well, the class typically consists of, we would jump rope for 3 rounds. Each round would be 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second to a minute break.
Right.
And then we go into a dynamic stretch routine, which incorporates just several movements to get the body stretched, warmed up, active, getting it active for the activities that we're going to do. After that, we usually do like a series of exercises, body weight exercises. It depends. Sometimes we'll do shadow boxing. Sometimes I will give them a timer in which they have like 1 minute to do a variety of different exercises 6 times within that minute. And then we go through that 6 times, right? So that's another way just to get the body moving, working on some mobility, some keeping the heart rate up, and getting the body ready for more work.
Wow. Not so sure what I could do in 10 seconds.
Well,
back to back.
Pace, that's the important thing.
Right.
And, and you work to your level, right? At RingFit, there's no ego. There's no, you are where you are, and we all accept that. And everybody's out for their own interest, right?
Right.
Depending on where they are and what that is. So then we go into something. I usually pick a combination. We'll do about 3 rounds on the bag. I'll pick a combination and they'll cycle through that. And sometimes instead of the 1 minute break, we'll have them doing an active break, like a plank, or during their 1 minute rest, they'll be doing sit-ups during that rest, or
that's not a rest.
Yeah, they're watching the breath. Wow. They're not doing anything too active.
Right.
Because it's a HIIT class, so we're trying to keep that intensity up.
Okay. So what does that stand for, the HIIT, when you say, because there's like HIIT. So what, for those of us who don't know?
High intensity interval training.
Okay. Well, that definitely sounds high intensity for sure. Right now, we're going to take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more STEPHAN, Boyd, and Boxing Talk on CooLife Podcast.
Car reviews, safety tips, electric vehicle updates. The Driver Magazine online. www.thedriver.ca. The world's view of driving today. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. You're listening to the CooLife podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And we are back on CooLife podcast, and I'm continuing my conversation with Stephan Boyd, Canadian middleweight boxing champion, owner of RINGFIT Boxing. And Stephan, please tell me, someone with no boxing experience, no background in that, they come to your gym, RINGFIT, they sign up. What would you recommend they work on first?
That's an easy one. The first thing that we're going to work on is the stance. Because building a boxer, like building anything, it starts with a very good foundation. So we've got to know where to put the feet. We've got to know how to keep the back straight, the knees bent, where to put the hands. And you'll be surprised. Just staying in the boxing stance properly is a workout. You're using a lot of muscles that you don't use every day. And yeah, that is the foundation for anybody. You know, the foundation is the most important part of the structure.
Excellent. Well, for someone coming in who doesn't have necessarily big goals in boxing, if they just maybe want to slim down a little and get a little bit of an improvement in their fitness, what do you do to help them meet that kind of a goal?
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a matter of what I do. The classes are based in which, you know, there's a lot of activity. You go at your own pace.
Right.
You know, you're jumping rope, which is, or, you know, if your fitness level isn't there yet, you're jumping on the spot, keeping your back straight. You're working your core, your legs, your cardiovascular system. Whether you're doing shadow boxing, you know, you're working your shoulders, your mobility. So it's not a matter of doing anything specific. It's about doing something, you know, and if you come, you show up, you go through the classes, yeah, you will see improvement because that's what they're designed to do.
Right.
And that's why boxing training is so effective. That's why boxers are such great athletes or well-conditioned athletes, right? So it's not a matter about where you start. It's a matter of that you start and and that you do it, you know?
For sure. And for those who come in with a serious attitude for applying themselves to boxing fitness, what are the do's and don'ts for diet if they are going into boxing training at your gym?
So, you know, for me, it's all about common sense. You know, it's not about, okay, you have to eat this way to be a good boxer or good at, you know, fitness or, you know, you got to eat a certain way for life. I mean, we're living people and we want to eat healthy. We want to live healthy. You know, we want to, yeah, for me, it's a totally holistic approach, right? You know, so it's not about just dieting or doing this. It's about living the whole lifestyle. And in terms of what to eat, I'm not going to say this or that because people have different variations, but common sense is a good thing. You know, if you can look at it, you can identify it, you know what it is, you know, you can eat it, you know, not processed stuff or, you know, just eating with sense, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to say what to eat, you know, fruits, vegetables, obviously are all good things, grains, you know, but for me, it's about just eating in an intelligent manner, no matter what you're doing, right? You want to eat well.
I get that. So you heard it, folks. If you can recognize the food you're eating, you're on a good track. So if it's overly processed, if it's in a little cube, if it's a nugget,
yeah, exactly, right? You know?
then you probably want to move on. Okay, we know. Thank you for that tip.
I mean, that's my opinion, right?
Right. Recognizable food. Well, with that, we've come to the end of this portion of my conversation with Stephan Boyd. Keep an eye out for part 2 of my conversation with Stephan Boyd coming up. In the meantime, it was a pleasure Stefan, can I ask you once again to state your website?
RingFitBoxing.com.
Thank you very much. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.